Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video tonight there is lots to negotiate about, so I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information on Jadon Sancho like I have been doing on a regular basis. Also, after that topic I am going to delve into the news on Kylian Mbappe, and then after that I am going to be giving you the news on Willian, and then I'm also going to be talking with you a bit more about Paul Pogba. So there's quite a few topics to delve into, but we will start with the news on Jadon Sancho. So according to recent reports, we have been handed a boost in our pursuit of Jadon Sancho, as Borussia Dortmund have opened talks with their replacement for Jadon Sancho, but can't remember who the player is. Now, as you all know, Jadon Sancho is our priority target. Obviously, reports were coming out last week saying, we was not willing to smash our transfer record for Jadon Sancho because Dortmund have remained ruthless over their valuation. They've said they want at least £100 million for the player. Some reports, were contrast actually, saying that they wanted around £120 million for him. But it did say last week, we was only willing to pay in the 80 odd million pound range for the player. Now, obviously, we have been working on Jadon Sancho's contracts for quite some time, and we've also been in negotiations with his agent for quite some time. So I mentioned that, on my recent videos, and it was actually, Fabrizio Romano who broke out that news that we've been in negotiations with his agent for quite some time. Now, obviously, was it a couple of weeks ago, it did say Borussia Dortmund believe that they can convince Jadon Sancho to remain loyal with them by offering him a new one-year contract. It says Borussia Dortmund willing to offer him a one-year contract worth around £9 million a year, and that, would make him the second highest paid player at Borussia Dortmund behind Marco Reus, because Marco Reus is Borussia Dortmund's highest paid player at the moment. But I think Jadon Sancho is expected to leave Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season. Liverpool, of course, I think are interested in Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, Chelsea have been in for him. He's actually a lifelong Chelsea fan, is Jadon Sancho. Real Madrid were in for Sancho at one point, so quite a few clubs have expressed their interest in him. But, I still think we are emerged as the favourites to sign the player. Now, Borussia Dortmund is the third club that Sancho is playing in his career so far. It's the third club in his playing career so far, because obviously, before he was at Borussia Dortmund, he was at Man City. Obviously, he enjoyed, was it 2 years with Manchester City, but the main explanation why I left Manchester City is because he didn't get any first team opportunities, and before he was at Manchester City, he was at Watford. He began his career at Watford, did Jadon Sancho, and he was at Watford for several years. And Jadon Sancho is now into his third season, with Borussia Dortmund. This is his third season, yeah. And I've got to say, since his arrival in Germany, he has been a revelation as Jadon Sancho since his arrival in Germany. But, Dortmund only paid around £7 or £8 million in from Manchester City. So if Dortmund, even selling for 80 odd million in the summer, they're going to make a huge profit on the player at Borussia Dortmund, because his valuation has persistently grown, reflecting on his good performances in the few years he has been with Dortmund. He's still got a contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022 as Jadon Sancho, and he is only at the age of 20. And I've already outlined the reasons, why it would be beneficial for us to recommend Jadon Sancho in, is because, I'll reiterate what I've said on my other videos, he's got a very, very good friendship with Marcus Rashford, and very, very good friendship with Marcus Rashford. And, Marcus Rashford did reveal, that he wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. And also, to another beneficial thing about recommending him in is that he is well Premier League proven. And I think Jadon Sancho would go well in our attacking line alongside the likes of Greenwood, Rashford, Anthony Martial, and that I really, really do. I think it did say, we was willing to offer Jadon Sancho around £200,000 a week and that. But like I've said to you before, Borussia Dortmund have let quite a few of their players, go to the Premier League in recent years. Like I said, Ilkay Gundogan left Dortmund for the Premier League. Aubameyang left, to join Arsenal. Christian Pulisic, he went to Chelsea. Also, too, Shinji Kagawa left Borussia Dortmund as well. Don't forget. But yeah, Borussia Dortmund have got a few players on their agenda, who could actually, replace him. But Sancho did reveal if he does leave Borussia Dortmund, his preference would be a move to Manchester United. Yes, it would in that. But obviously, it did say, last week anyway, like he updated you, Borussia Dortmund have agreed to let Jadon Sancho go. They've agreed to let him go on one condition, that's providing that his asking price is met and stuff like that. But we have not yet, as far as I'm aware, we have not yet submitted a bid for Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, players' values have dropped by at least 15% due to the coronavirus pandemic. Don't forget, there was reports coming out not too long ago saying we may have to sell around 4 or 5 players to fund the move for Jadon Sancho and that. So there you go. We may have to do that. And obviously, if Sancho is sold in the summer, if he's sold in the summer, then it did say Manchester City would benefit from it because reportedly Manchester City would get around 15% of the transfer fee due to the clauses that led from his transfer from Manchester City to Borussia Dortmund. And if we sign Jadon Sancho, then he will be our next number 7 because don't forget, we're willing to offer Jadon Sancho that number 7 shirt. And we've got number 7 vacant at the moment, and like I've said before, we've had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. We've had the likes of Ronaldo, Beckham, Cantona. We had Michael Owen at one point, wasn't so good though. So we've had George Best, we've had so many good number 7s, but our recent number 7s haven't been so good. Obviously, Depay wasn't so good. Also, too, Sanchez was very, very inconsistent in that. But yeah, hopefully, we can get Jadon Sancho in the summer transfer market. Hopefully, we can. But back in February, Jadon Sancho did make the admission saying that he does want to leave Borussia Dortmund. But yeah, so there you go. That is the news on Sancho. And obviously, we've been relentlessly linked to him. It's not only this year we've been in for him, we was in for him last year. But the main explanation why we didn't get him last year is because we had no Champions League football to offer. And there was reports saying that if we don't get Champions League football, then Jadon Sancho will not come to Manchester United and that. But there you go. So that is the latest news regarding Jadon Sancho. And by the way, I think he has returned to training today as Sancho as well. So obviously, that's also very, very good news. But I think he was dropped in quite a lot of games, by the way, with Sancho earlier on in the season. I think the Bundesliga is supposed to be starting, is it sometime this week or next week, I heard. Because obviously, players are now back in training, which is a positive. So, yeah. So now let's delve into the next topic, and this is on Kylian Mbappe. So I've just been reading recent reports regarding Kylian Mbappe, and reportedly, I think it's stemming from The Sun and it's stemming from a few other media outlets. They've actually said that PSG have offered Kylian Mbappe a new £600,000 a week contract. I think it did mention that it is the same salary, but they've offered him a new contract. I think Kylian Mbappe is willing to accept this contract on one condition, and that's if there is a clause inserted that will allow him, to join Real Madrid, because I think actually, Kylian Mbappe does want to join Real Madrid. Kylian Mbappe, I think, has got a couple of years left on his current contract now with PSG. He is under contract with them until 2022, is Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe, I think, is now into his 3rd season with PSG. I think he's in his 3rd season with PSG. Yeah, I think he's got like 90 goals in 120 games for them in all competitions. Don't forget, Kylian Mbappe is the 2nd most expensive player in the world behind Neymar. PSG did get Mbappe on loan, but then obviously, they got him permanently and paid around £166 million in transfer fees. But I did say before, reiterate what I said before when I was talking about, the transfer saga of him being linked to Liverpool. I said if he leaves PSG, he will go to Real Madrid and that. But actually, it said the other week that PSG would rather him run his contract down and let him go on a free rather than let him go this summer to join Real Madrid and that. But Real Madrid, I think, have been in for Mbappe for quite some time. Mbappe is only at the age of 21, so very, very good young prospect is the player. But I also liked Mbappe when he was at Monaco. I thought it was also a revelation then, But like I said to Liverpool have been in for Mbappe. Don't forget the other week it had said, like he updated you, that Jurgen Klopp had called Kylian Mbappe's father to negotiate a possible transfer, to Liverpool and stuff like that. And it obviously, said that Liverpool had a master plan to sign Mbappe in the summer of 2021, which is next year. So obviously, Liverpool can get him cheaper. PSG basically made it clear, and they remained ruthless over their valuation. They basically said, if we had to sign to Liverpool this summer, we want a world record fee of £250 million. But I did say, didn't I? I was, I was very, very sceptical that Liverpool will pay 250 million. Even in summer of 2021, it probably still cost Liverpool around 175 million. Will Mbappe, so that's around half of what PSG would want this summer for the player. And obviously, for Liverpool to get Mbappe anywhere, like I've said before, they'd have to sell one of their attacking trio in Salah, Firmino, or Mane. Mane has also been linked with a move to Real Madrid. But it's the same sort of thing with Werner, isn't it? They've got to sell one of their attacking trio, to get Werner on the board. Obviously, Werner is a much cheaper solution for Liverpool, than Mbappe, because Timo Werner is available for like £52 million, because that's his release clause in his RB Leipzig contract. I am reiterating some of the stuff that I mentioned on my earlier videos that I did today. Obviously, Liverpool are the favourites to sign, Timo Werner from RB Leipzig. Liverpool have reportedly told Timo Werner's representatives to give them a bit more time, to submit a bidding. Because it did recently say that Liverpool's summer spending was on hold and stuff, due to financial issues. And Liverpool actually, did say, they may not make any signings in the summer transfer market. But Werner's already revealed that his preference is a move to Liverpool. He's recently turned down a move to Bayern Munich. So I think if Liverpool make any signings, they will make one, and that will be Werner in the summer. Don't forget, Liverpool have already done business with RP Leipzig, because don't forget, they did get Naby Keita off them. I can't remember when it was, but I think was it a year or two ago they got Naby Keita. So if Liverpool get Werner, he will be reuniting with Naby Keita and that. But I've forgotten to honestly say, I think, Werner will be a great addition to Liverpool's squad. Like I said, he hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, and maybe, he wouldn't live up to expectations in the Premier League. Maybe he could become a flop, but I think for RP Leipzig, he's been very, very consistent. He's now into his fourth season with them. 88 goals in 150 appearances in all competitions, Timo Werner. Around 72 goals in the Bundesliga, so very, very good player, prolific goal scorer. I think he's predominantly a central striker, but, he can also play him on each flank, so his versatility is also very, very good. Werner is only the age of 23, or is he 24 years of age, Timo Werner. Don't forget, he became the youngest player to represent Stuttgart when he was there before Leipzig. Leipzig is only the second club in his playing career. I think he became the youngest goal scorer for Stuttgart, but I think he's actually become the youngest player as well to reach around 200 Bundesliga appearances. But Liverpool have been negotiating with the player recently. Reportedly, they've offered him a contract worth around £9 million a year plus bonuses, and I think it's like a 5-year contract they have offered him. So Liverpool have got much more chance of getting Werner, than they have of Mbappe. Probably Mbappe will end up staying at PSG, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, they've offered him a new contract worth around £600,000 a week. So there you go. Now, let's give you the news on Willian from Chelsea. So the news is on Willian that, according to The Sun, now I know The Sun, isn't a reliable source. It isn't a reliable source, is The Sun. But they have reportedly said that Willian has agreed to join Tottenham. And this is stemming from the Sky Sports presenter, Richard Keys. He's explained that, Willian has agreed to join Tottenham in the summer. Now, as you all know, Willian is available on a 3. And it also mentions in the article as well, it's the actual headline in The Sun, that the reps have been discussing with Jose Mourinho over, the transfer of Willian and that. So, so maybe, Tottenham are going to get Willian. Like I said to Arsenal have also expressed their interest in him. But obviously, it said the other week that, reflecting on Willian's wage demands, that could be the stumbling block of him making his move to Arsenal, because I think Willian's wages are around £120,000 a week at Chelsea. But yeah, he is available on a 3 because Willian's contract does expire on the 30th of June. And I think, Chelsea have come to accept the fact, that he does want to leave. I think Chelsea are keen on keeping him. Obviously, Chelsea are willing to offer him a 12-month contract extension, but Willian's confirmed he wants a 3-year contract extension if he is to remain loyal to Chelsea. Willian can play as an attacking midfielder, and he can also play as a winger. He's been a long-serving player at Chelsea. He's Willian. He's now into his 7th season with them. He's Willian. I think he's made over 200 appearances in the Premier League for them. Chelsea did pay around £30 million for him from Anzi Makhachkala back in 2013. I might have pronounced that team's name wrong. Before he was there, he was at Shakhtar Donetsk, and Willian is the age of 31. Don't forget the other week it said Liverpool had been in negotiations with Chelsea over getting Willian on a free transfer. So obviously, Chelsea, know they're going to lose Willian, so they're obviously going to want a replacement for him. So reportedly Tottenham have agreed to get him. Obviously, I think he's back in London now. Is Willian? He's been back in training with Chelsea. But yeah, and Tottenham, will want to make signings in the summer transfer market. Tottenham have been very, very inconsistent this season. Like I said to you though, Tottenham made a mistake by getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino, because Mauricio Pochettino did endure 5.5 years with Tottenham. Yes, he did. And analysing the vast majority of Mauricio Pochettino's tenure, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. Don't forget he got them to the Champions League final last season. But he's a very, very good manager, he's Pochettino. I know he hasn't won out in terms of silverware. Don't forget my club, Man United, were relentlessly linked with him earlier on this season, because Solskjaer was actually close to getting the sack and that. Obviously, Newcastle have obviously identified Pochettino as their number 1 candidate to replace Steve Bruce, because I think the Sergio Arabians are going to take over Newcastle, or have already taken over Newcastle. Haven't really read into that recently, to be quite honest with you. But Tottenham should have not got rid of Mauricio Pochettino. But Pochettino gave his verdict on it when he got sacked, and he did say he wants an immediate return to management. And Tottenham made a mistake by recommending Jose Mourinho in. And Tottenham have been very, very critical of Mourinho. Mourinho's got a good pedigree behind him and that, and he's won around 25 major honours in his career, but he has passed his sell-by date now. Tottenham have recruited, quite a few players in, in recent years and that. They have recruited quite a few players in. I think they've made around, 2 signings under Mourinho so far. I think they got Jadon Fernandez in January from Benfica. I think they got him on an 18-month loan. They also got Steven Bergwijn from, PSV, if I can remember rightly, and he's also done very, very well. I think he scored in his Premier League debut against Manchester City when Tottenham did beat Man City 2-0. But I think they're the only 2 signings that Jose Mourinho's made. Don't forget as well, they got Giovanni Lo Celso on a permanent transfer. They did also recruit quite a few players in under the Pochettino era. They got the likes of Tanguy Ndombele in. I think he's Tottenham's record signing is Tanguy Ndombele. They also didn't get Ryan Sessegnon in. They got Serge Aurier in. Serge Aurier. Did Tottenham. So Tottenham have recruited quite a few players in recent years. Yes, they have in that. And also too, they have let quite a few players go as well. Don't forget they let Eriksen go back in January after he endured 7 years with Tottenham. Very, very, very long-serving player he was for Tottenham was Eriksen. But I think he's been very, very inconsistent at Inter Milan, to be honest with you. Also, too, they let Danny Rose go out on loan to Newcastle, and he was at Tottenham for several years, was Danny Rose. He was at Tottenham for several years. Obviously, there's been talks that Harry Kane could be leaving. I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Harry Kane yesterday. I don't think we're willing to pay any more than £100 million for Kane. Don't forget though, Tottenham did say they wanted around £200 million for him, but I'm very, very sceptical that we'll get him. Obviously, he did make an admission back in March saying that he could leave Tottenham if he feels as though the team not progressing. And they did say, he will not stay at Tottenham for the sake of it, because Harry Kane has revealed his ambition, and his ambition is to get silverware on the board. So there you go and that. But Kane's obviously, been out of a hamstring injury since January. They've been missing him. Lucas Moura has been out of injury for Tottenham. So they have had quite a few injuries this season. Hugo Lloris, I think, he was injured at one point as well. But Tottenham have actually got very, very good players. Lucas Moura is good. I think Toby Alderweireld's a very, very good centre-half. Vertonghen isn't so bad for them. But like I said, Jose Mourinho isn't the foreseeable future for Tottenham. He really, really isn't. And Tottenham can't win out in terms of silverware this season. They can't win anything. They're not in the FA Cup. Obviously, they're not they're no longer in the Champions League. So there you go. So yeah, they could get Willian on a free transfer. Obviously, I think they'll want to make other signings as well because players could be also leave. More players could be leaving Tottenham in the summer. So there you go and that. So that is the latest news on that. That is the latest news on that. Now, I've just also been reading reports, by the way, saying that if we was to miss out on Jadon Sancho, we've got there's around 4 to 5 alternatives, who we could get on a free if we don't sign Jadon Sancho. Because there's quite a few players that are available on free transfer this summer, and that is Willian from Chelsea, like I've just said. Edison Cavani, he's available on a free transfer from PSG. I think Mario Götze is it from Dortmund, he's available on a free transfer. I think, Dry Mertens, he's also available on a free transfer. He's been at Napoli for several years. I think, Chelsea recently expressed their interest in Dry Mertens. So, they're, one of them, there would be good alternative, if we was to miss out on Sancho, because they're available on free transfers. So, we wouldn't have to pay any money for them. But we're not in for any of them anyway. But they'd be good alternative, if we didn't obviously get Jadon Sancho on the board. I think it was in a report earlier on today was that, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So, yeah. Now, just going to be talking with you a bit more about Paul Pogba. So, I have been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Paul Pogba, haven't I, on a regular basis. Now, I think Paul Pogba is going to be staying at Manchester United from my own perception. Paul Pogba will be staying at the football club. Because don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did recently insist that he wants Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United. Obviously, revert back. This was before the football season was suspended. Pogba said he was interested in staying at the club and he was interested in extending his contract and stuff like that. And Solskjaer reiterated it and said he wants Paul Pogba to remain at Man United next season. Well, he said he will remain at Man United next season. But don't forget, Solskjaer did say he wants him to stay because he wants him to build a partnership with Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, because Paul Pogba has not yet played alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield since Bruno Fernandes got recommended in. And Paul Pogba, as Solskjaer has told Paul Pogba, he wants to make him a key part of the club's future and that. Now, obviously, you've had Wayne Rooney recently coming out saying that Ravel Morrison was better than Paul Pogba. Don't agree with him at all on that aspect. Also, you've had Paul Lynch, recently coming out and, saying Manchester United should ask Paul Pogba in the summer. Obviously, there was reports saying that we could only get 60 or 70 million pounds if we do sell Paul Pogba in the summer transfer market. But if we don't sell Paul Pogba, then I think, we'll actually decide to trigger an extension on his contract if he does not leave the football club and that. Paul Pogba's only played 8 times this season for us. His appearances have been limited due to his injuries in that. But Paul Pogba has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But analysing the vast majority of Paul Pogba's tenure, he has been mainly inconsistent. I think when we saw the best of Paul Pogba in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager in that. Put a good run of performances out. He really, really did in that. But Paul Pogba's got exactly now a year remaining on his Man United contract, because don't forget, we decided not to trigger that 1-year extension. That now I've always said it, and I'll say it again. If Paul Pogba leaves Man United in the summer, or whenever he leaves, if he doesn't leave in the summer, I think he'll either go to Real Madrid. If he doesn't go to Real Madrid, I think he will make a return back to Turin, because he did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus. Now, like I've said to you, swap deals have been on the agenda. Recent reports have said that Juventus are willing to offer us, a couple of their players in exchange for Pogba. Obviously, Douglas Costa's been mentioned, Panjanic's been mentioned. Quite a few players have been mentioned. Don't forget the other week, PSG had offered us 2 of their players for Pogba, and that was Draxler and Angel Di Maria. Di Maria is a former Manchester United player. But yeah, so swap deals have been on the agenda, but swap deals are very, very rare in the modern game. Last summer, Real Madrid, were relentlessly linked with him. His actual preference was to make a move to Real Madrid last summer, but the main explanation why his move to Madrid last summer didn't materialise was reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him. Because, we said wanted around £180 million for Pogba. So he was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. Real Madrid did recruit a good 5 or 6 players in last summer, but they're still looking to do more transfer business. And Paul Pogba was talking a hell of a lot about Real Madrid last year. But Paul Pogba, said he wanted to leave last summer because he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club. The Italian press have reported saying that Inter Milan are the recent club to be in for him. Inter Milan, of course, have got Mario Icardi out on loan at the moment with PSG. They've got Ivan Perisic out on loan at Bayern Munich. Don't forget, Inter Milan have already recruited 3 of our players, but I don't see Paul Pogba going to Inter Milan. Barcelona have also been in for Paul Pogba in the past and that. But there you go. But yeah, there you go. But like I said, we paid 8 to 9 million for Pogba, so he is our most expensive signing at the moment. He's one of our highest paid players because he's on like £300,000 a week. And obviously, the Juventus sporting director come out and made an admission saying teams will struggle to meet his wage demands and stuff like that. But Paul Pogba also enjoyed a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era. We had him when he was a lot younger under the Alex Ferguson era as well, but we had to let him go due to limited appearances. And there has been a few players on our agenda who could replace Paul Pogba if he does obviously leave Manchester United. But I don't think he will. I think he will be at the football club next season. I really, really do in that. Obviously, on my 2 previous videos today, the one that I did this morning, obviously, I give you an update on some of Arsenal's transfer news, didn't I? I give you the latest news on Thomas Partey. Obviously, as you all know, Thomas Partey has told his friends that he wants to join Arsenal in the summer. That was stemming from the Telegraph, and that's very, very positive news from an Arsenal perspective. I obviously this morning give you the news on Werner and Kalidou Koulibaly from Napoli and that. And obviously, my last video that I did, which I think, oh no, it's uploaded, sorry. I thought it was still uploading, but it's actually uploaded now. On my recent video, I give you the news on obviously, Dean Henderson. The Sun and a few other reports have said that we may have to pay £60 million for Dean Henderson if the season resumes and Sheffield United get qualification for the Champions League. Of course, Dean Henderson is out on loan at the moment with Sheffield United, and he has been a revelation. He really, really has been a revelation. His loan spell with Sheffield United expires on the 30th of June, I think. We've confirmed that we're willing to let him go out on another loan spell, but we're not willing to get rid of him permanently because we see Dean Henderson as a long-term replacement for David De Gea, but David De Gea is going to become our number 1 next season. He's going to remain our number 1, next season because he has been our number 1 for several years as De Gea. So there you go and that. Obviously, I gave you the news yesterday, didn't I? On obviously, Man United, not being interested in recommending a director of footballing. We are no longer interested in recommending a director of footballing because we was in search for a director of football for the last couple of years, and it said that Ed Woodward wanted to recommend a director of footballing, to obviously, oversee the club's transfer strategy. There was quite a few names linked with that director's role. But the main explanation why Ed Wood was no longer interested, reflecting on the impacts that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made in that. And Ed Woodward, is backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Solskjaer's confirmed that he wants to make around 4 signings in the summer. He's already identified the areas in the squad where he does want to strengthen up. Solskjaer still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young British players to Manchester United and stuff like that. Ed Woodward's been talking a lot recently anyway, about how we're going to approach the summer. He came out the other week saying that we may not do business as usual in the summer transfer market due to the coronavirus pandemic. And he also, basically meant we're not going to spend big, and he ruled out big transfers to Man United. But Ed Woodward obviously has given Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a transfer promise and that. But so far, Solskjaer's recruited 5 players in and spent around £220 million at the football club and that. Solskjaer's planning to get rid of around 5 or 6 players in the summer. So players are definitely going to go in the summer. Solskjaer's got rid of a lot of the deadwood anyway since he come in, but we're obviously going to get rid of more deadwood in the summer and that. So there you go. So there you go and that. And like I said to we've got around 9 players' contracts that are due to expire in the summer of 2021. So that's something else we need to sort out. That's something else we do need to sort out. I think, there's going to be players that are going to be leaving, but a hell of a lot of players are going to be staying as well, because I think there's quite a lot of players in our squad that have got foreseeable futures at Manchester United and that. Like I said to you, I give you an update on the return of the Premier League recently. Obviously, reportedly the season's got to resume by the 19th of June in order to complete the season. Reportedly, UEFA have said that the season must be completed by August the 2nd. The European leagues must be completed by August the 2nd, and games will be played behind closed doors. Reportedly, games will be played behind closed doors until 2021. But, the football season has been suspended since, the 13th of March. Obviously, you've had Liga 1 that got cancelled not too long ago. PSG won the title. They got given the, title PSG. You had the Eredivisie that got cancelled as well. There's been talk saying FA Cup and League Cup, fixtures could be scrapped and that. But I think the season is going to resume because there's like 92 games to play in all competitions and that. But Premier League have had a few meetings to establish plans for the remainder of the season. There was reports saying that, it could start on the 6th of June, could start on the 8th of June. The Premier League are basically working on a 7-week festival if the season does resume and that. So they want it completed within a 7-week period. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.